So if I want to make a really strong, like, mic drop point and then direct look into the camera, I'll look at that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can throw them all off and look at that one.
Oh. Pull a Jack Black and do all three.
Yeah. This is the spot. It's good that that's turned off. Last time I kept looking over.
Mm-hmm. It's really hard to not look at how my hair looks in the screen, so I'm glad you turned it off.
You're killing it. Don't worry. It's a good hair day.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So you mentioned this has just been such a good Friday after you filed your 10Q.
Yes. So
what's been so good about today?
Recovery day is key. Every quarter, either the day after filing or closely thereafter, we take a recovery day because it's such a sprint to get to the filing day. We filed yesterday, and the intention was to file first thing in the morning and then have the rest of the day to finish reviewing invoices and entries and things like that. And, of course, things came up at the last second. Our audit team was new. They had a few last-second questions, and so it took a few more hours. Mm-hmm. But
what day do you close?
So it depends on how you define the close. Fair. Because we stop booking entries day 7.
Okay.
And we stop booking any invoices that come in, and we try to do all of our accruals, and everything closed by day 7. We would like to get it up a little bit more, but the nature of our business is we get a lot of invoices late, and a lot of estimates come in late. And so we do day 7, and then a few days later we reopen the books for items that we catch during our reviews. And so we have a couple closes. And we'll reopen the books. You know, we have a whole process for reopening. And we get to a point where we can send a trial balance to the auditors. But inevitably, we'll have at least one more reopen the books. Mm-hmm.
So how long is the filing window from, let's say, sending that trial balance to the auditors to hitting submit in Workiva?
It's about, I wish we had Workiva.
You don't have Workiva?
No, I want to have Workiva.
Whoa.
That's 2026. Don't tell my boss, but my plan is 2026. Okay. I'm going to push for it.
You might be the first SEC reporting director I've talked to that is not a Workiva subscriber.
Yeah, this is going to be a really big improvement if we can get into a stronger reporting system.
Okay, so what's your current system?
So we click the button through RDG filings. Okay. The tool is called Thunderdome.
Is it a third-party filer? Or
yes.
You guys... Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they do have some automation that we're able to use, a lot of linking between an Excel file and what's in RDG. And then we link the Excel file to all of our Excel footnote support files and all those things, but it's all still very manual.
Yeah, what's the worst part about that, the current process?
What
are you doing?
Error-prone.
Error-prone. How so?
We have so many of our supporting files are still very manual as well. And so we'll take reports out of our ERP system, usually Excel or PDF, and Excel them. And then that's a very manual process. And then the review is a very manual process. And so then that gets linked to a reporting linked file. But, you know, if that file doesn't get updated in our SharePoint system and then the linked file doesn't get updated in time, or, you know, I've uploaded our linked file into RDG, but then through review, someone else's review, a number gets changed and I didn't hear about it in time, so we might end up with a draft that has outdated numbers.
So it's more clerical in essence than technical?
Yes.
That's where the errors come about.
Everyone who touches reporting, from the entry-level accountants through my level and controller level, is very clerical. We have to be so detailed.
But that's where the errors come about, is just transferring of data and formatting.
We inevitably miss things.
Yeah. It'd be hard not to with that level of detail and that long of a document. How many pages is your queue?
It was about 60, around 60 this time.
Pretty good. Okay, we got a little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's introduce. So I'm Daniel. I'm with Finrep. Finrep is an AI co-pilot for SEC reporting teams. And then I'd like to introduce my guest today who took the time to come up and talk to me today. Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Sharon Grace. I am the SEC Reporting Director and Technical Accounting Director for Ametis Inc.
And what does Ametis Inc. do?
They're into environmental sciences, and so they have a few different subsidiaries that in different ways reduce carbon emissions. and produce renewable biogas, ethanol, biodiesel in our India segment.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So could you give me a rundown of how you started your career in accounting? First of all, what made you choose accounting, or is it something that you found along the way?
Accounting was something that I, as a teenager, found was a good go-between between this idea of business sounds like a good major. They sound like they make money, and I'm good at math. Maybe I'll give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
This family that I babysat for introduced me to the concept of accounting. I didn't know anyone in corporate growing up. And so I thought, if that's where I'm going to go, have a solid career ahead of me, I better give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked it as my major, and it went really well. And I was like, this seems odd that it's going really well for me, and a lot of my peers are struggling. And so I started being the one to help my friends with their accounting homework, or we would do it together. I became somewhat of a go-to person.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the business department, they made me an official accounting tutor for a year. And so I thought I might as well stick with it. I seem to be okay at it. And I stuck with it through the end of my degree and getting into the workforce, found people that I connected with in the career along the way. And so it's really kept me going. I think there are some parts of me that wish that I could have had a little bit more of a creative role
Mm-hmm.
and not get stuck in some of these mundane Excel numbers. The lifestyle of balancing numbers is a little bit different from some of the lifestyles of more creative people that I've known who have written books and done other things that I've also been interested in. But it's a very solid career that I'm very grateful for.
Great. Where did you grow up, and where did you go to college?
I grew up in San Diego, an area called Chula Vista, very close to the border, very good tacos. I try to get down there as often as I can still. And I went to college at a very small school in LA. It's the Bible Institute of Los Angeles.
Whoa.
And they had a business program there. And so it was an interesting way for me to transition from this very small culture that I grew up in and into kind of a more corporate environment.
Mm-hmm. So post-grad, did you immediately go to pursue CPA credentials, or did you take some time to work? Did you get more credits? Did you do a 4+1? Did you get a master's? How did you get the credits, and then how did you make that transition into CPA licensure?
Yeah, it was something that I wanted to do immediately, but I needed to take a little bit of time for myself after I had some burnout, even just from getting through graduation. And so I took a little bit of time to just work and figure out lifestyle.
Where was your first role?
So this isn't even on LinkedIn, but I'll tell you.
This is the good stuff, people. It's not even on LinkedIn.
Don't tell anyone. But my first role was as a temp at a cardboard manufacturing company in Buena Park. And it was so surreal to me because I loved the TV show The Office.
Mm-hmm.
And every day I'd walk in there, I felt like I was walking onto the set of The Office because the personalities were exactly like that. It was about the same number of people. The layout of The Office was very similar to that.
Is it cardboard something?
Cardboard manufacturing. The name of the company was Koru Craft.
Cardboard manufacturing plant. Yeah. Basically paper.
So similar. And
That's
I just
funny.
couldn't believe where I was. And I was very grateful for it. I had a good manager who wasn't like Angela in accounting on The Office.
What character were you then?
I felt like, am I Angela? If she's not Angela, then who am I?
No way.
And so it didn't last too long because shortly after that I got an offer that I had been waiting on before taking that role from the university that I went to. So I did finance there for about 8 months. And then I got the offer I had been been looking forward to, which is a regional CPA accounting firm.
Nice.
So I wanted to get into an accounting firm and then start buying the CPA study materials and ease into it that way.
So you kind of had a couple of stepping stone roles before you landed your regional CPA firm job?
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. Since I went to a small school, it had much less exposure to accounting firms, and they just weren't hiring as much that year. There was still a big recovery period from 2008 and 9 where a lot of firms were doing layoffs and they were rehiring and then hiring fewer people from colleges in
What year did you graduate?
2011.
Okay. So it's still in the recovery.
Yeah, and I just missed the small wave of hires.
Mm-hmm.
And so but I always knew I would make it. It was just going to be a roundabout way. And I'm really glad I didn't have a perfectly traditional path. I learned a lot through the little side steps.
I resonate a lot with that. After I graduated, I had a couple internships in like a regional CPA firm, and then another one that was quite interesting. But my peers that took graduation, Deloitte internship, straight into their Big Four role, it's a very clear path, and it's a great path. But for all of us that don't take that path, it's a whole different ballgame, right?
It is very different. You learn a different type of grit.
Mm-hmm.
In taking a roundabout path and then jumping in at a different point or in a different way. And look at what you're doing now. This is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Shout out Finrep.
Hey.
The presenting sponsor. So you got into the Big Four.
I did. So I went from the regional firm lifestyle, which was great. I got to travel. We audited a lot of corporate real estate and apartment complexes. And so we would go to all these different states and all these different apartment complexes and audit their books. So I got to see a lot of the U.S. in that experience. And then I got married and then decided, okay, now, I can approach my CPA from a team at home standpoint. So I took a little time off of work for that job. And would just do consulting for my friend's CPA firm on the side whenever they needed help here and there. And then at the time, my husband's job moved us up to San Francisco. And so I was studying for the CPA. And then we moved up to San Francisco. The job that hired him rescinded their offer as soon as we moved up here.
No way.
And then I was like, well, gotta find a job now. It's probably better to find a job before I'm done with the CPA exams. Anyways, I'd already passed a couple of them. And then I met someone who said that KPMG had just acquired RK, and they have
RK?
Rothstein Cass,
Okay.
a smaller accounting firm. They have a bunch of real estate clients. With your real estate experience, they could probably pull you in. They need a lot of help. So I got kind of swept in to that wave, got into KPMG, worked on a couple real estate clients, and then was like, hey, you guys have a lot of other cool clients that are interesting to me. I wonder if I could get in with some tech clients and maybe pre-IPO. I'd love to learn and see what that's like. And they were happy to have help. And not everyone is interested in private company auditing. And so the fact that I was interested and willing to put in IPO hours and things like that, they swept me in there. So that was a nice entryway into this whole other world. And then I got to do a lot at KPMG. That was actually a pretty good time. Through the pre-IPO VC-backed audit practice, I also got to do a project in Bangalore, which is what I had told you about on the phone. We had an offshoring team who was designated specifically to these clients, so I got to go train them in doing a little bit more with their audit procedures and help them understand more of the accounting concepts, and be in India for a few months.
How was that?
That was probably the highlight of my accounting career. That because it was such a good time.
So far.
It's
not over
yet. The best
yet.
is yet to
Come
come.
on.
Thank you. Good positivity. It was so fun to meet people from all around the world in accounting. People who had really fun, engaging personalities and, leaders of big teams, and then make friends in India. So now every time I visited since that experience, I can call them up and, or catch up and stay connected on Instagram or whatever. And grow up with people in that experience. I was only a couple of years ahead of the people I was training.
Yeah, what point in your career was that?
I was a senior associate.
Okay, so a few years into KPMG.
Yeah, maybe like 2 years into KPMG.
And pre-KPMG, had you already obtained CPA licensure, or was that still in progress?
I finished it while I was at KPMG.
Okay.
I think I had finished 2 exams before KPMG and then finished the last 2 there, which was a grind.
I was just gonna say we skipped
Yeah.
over that part, which had to be the hardest part.
Yeah, that was it was worth it, but it's a little bit of a blur, kind of a black hole in my memory because it was just such a, grind to get the audit work done during the day and then study nights and weekends. I was lucky to be in engagements that weren't too aggressive early at KPMG.
Do you think that was the nature of that private practice pre-IPO?
Yeah, and the real estate practice too. It wasn't too bad.
A little different than public company audit.
Yeah, I was very lucky.
Yeah. Nice. So you did your time at KPMG. What made you leave?
So that is a whole other journey in itself. I don't know how detailed you want to get, but
Up to you.
basically, I came out of the India experience just kind of on a high.
How long were you there?
High.
6 months?
I was there 4 or 5 months.
Nice.
4 months, I think, something like that.
Cool.
A lot of people would go over there and spend about a year there, but I was doing a special project for me, and I found it hard to live there. As fun as it was also hard. So,
How so?
4 months was good for me.
What was hard about it?
I think the traffic, and also I was just figuring out my priorities in life. I wasn't able to go out and do all of the fun stuff everyone else did, and then I was just figuring out family stuff at the same time was a challenge. So I came back on a work high and wanted to make manager. I thought maybe I'll make early manager, and then I got pregnant. And so having a kid and starting a family shifted everything. In my mind, I was like, I'm going to still make early manager. I'm going to come back and it's going to be like I'm not even a mom. That was my mentality. And I just was very ambitious. And I think that got me to a point in my life. But then once the baby was born, my brain chemistry changed. And then it was like, I don't care about accounting as much as I care about humans. And that was the biggest shift for my life, but it also shifted a lot for my career. So it made me realize that I think I had been pushing back past a lot of my feelings, a lot of my humanity, and getting to this place that I found to be successful in my life. But then having a child forced me to be so much more human. And then I had another kid. So another very lucky thing for me at KPMG was that they have internal projects that people can do to step away from audit potentially, and I got to be part of the Clara project, which is their internal audit software. And that was a really good experience. One, because I got to work from home a lot more often. And have more balance with my family. And 2, I got to spend a lot more time in accounting guidance and literature, and also learn a little bit more about how systems and tech works, kind of like how you edit videos sometimes, but you're also in accounting. So that was a really cool experience. And then the pandemic hit, and because I wasn't client facing and I asked to still not be for a while, I was part of a round of layoffs at KPMG. Best thing that could have happened to me. It was another huge boost for my life. I felt like this is something that has been pretty hard for me for a while. And now they've given me this big gift of just a little bit of a push in a new direction in my life. So we moved to San Diego for a few years. I grew up there. My parents are still there. And I had these 2 little kids. And so I got to have a little bit more family support, get a new job in San Diego, go to the beach a lot more often. And that's when I started doing technical accounting and a little bit of reporting stuff as well.
Yeah, that's such a cool story.
Thanks.
That's so neat how just the family life, the family side of your life kind of shaped your career in a sense. And you had this partner track mindset, right, within KPMG, and then something like starting a family completely changed how you were thinking about that?
Yeah, I think the part of my mind, the part of that ambitious mindset of I could be partner track if I really focus on that, was denying this other side of me that felt really uncomfortable with it. And I think there's some people who are more, the way that they work, the way that they collaborate with team members is a lot more suited for partner track. And I think I was forcing myself into this mindset and this person that I thought that's the most successful, that's the most, if I'm truly focused and ambitious and good at what I do, then that means partner track.
That's the definition of what success would look like in that field.
Exactly. And I was afraid of any alternative, because what would that say about me, that I'm not as good and whatever. And maybe there's some truth to that, but that's okay, because having those little side paths and those little pushes in other directions can open up a whole world of opportunity. Still marketable, still had KPMG on my resume. And then I had all this other stuff that I was learning. I was reading all these child psychology books, and it was really connecting with some of the trainings that I would do at KPMG, you know, coming into manager level at KPMG, and we have manager level trainings, how to work with your staff, how to work with your partners. And then I was learning how to help your baby with their baby development, and there were a lot of parallels. And
that's so interesting.
It was so fun for me because it made it so much less scary to me to talk with a partner or a CEO when I saw them as a baby.
I love it.
They were a baby one day, and they did this whole brain development one day. And then now, since then too, I've really felt like no matter how far we've gone in our career, no matter how good we are at writing a memo or presenting something to investors, we're all still children at heart. We all still love to laugh. We all still make mistakes. We don't like being scolded. We like being coached. Kids are the same way.
I love that. It's such a cool perspective.
Partners and CEOs are the same way too. They don't like being, you know, finger pointed at.
No one does.
And it's so much more effective when you come in as a team in every environment, at home, at work. Yeah.
I love it. So let's pivot into your career now as a technical accountant and a SEC reporting director.
Yeah.
So from moving back to San Diego, now you're back in SF and you're a director of SEC reporting. Let's bridge that gap.
So San Diego is great, and my favorite boss of all time at this company. I worked for a Raytheon subsidiary called Collins Aerospace, and I worked for just the coolest accountant I've ever met. She's got like tattoos and so many piercings, and she's not afraid of anyone.
I love the cool accountant title.
Gets the job done. Yeah, and she was a great coach for me for that period of transitioning from Big Four to this environment, because I was going from client serving mentality to being an internal team member. And I think the way that I spoke, and this still happens now, the way that I try to get some stuff done, especially when working on a deadline, is here's what I need from you. It's very cut and dry. And then people are like, are you auditing me? Or are you holding me back from getting my job done because of this rule or this guidance that you're talking about? And I had to shift my tone back into this, no, we're one team. I'm just trying to help you be compliant, you know, before it gets too late, that kind of a thing. On that note of little side journeys, I think I had waited a little bit too long to take some time and focus on just being a mom. And one of the questions that you had sent me in preparation for this interview was, what was the role that most prepared you for where you are today? And my answer to that was being mom. And I know that's not traditional or accounting speak at all, but I think it goes back to the personality stuff, just letting us be people first. That's huge for me. And if I'm going to be in accounting and a topic that's typically very dry, you know, it's hard to stay up late reading accounting guidance without falling asleep, or wake up excited to read accounting guidance for technical accounting memos. What keeps me in this role is this the value of connecting with people, because it takes a team to file a 10Q. And how well are we going to work together and respect each other and set each other up for the best success? And how can I help the people who are doing work that feeds into my work? How can I make them look good? And how can I, so being a mom now has been the best experience I could ever have. It's tiring.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be also a challenge to balance filing a 10Q with helping the kids get their homework done or helping them in the middle of the night. But we have grit in accounting and we get through it. And so I took a little bit of time off to focus on being a mom for a year. And then we as a family moved back up to the Bay Area. And now I had a couple more little side steps. I had a job offer that I moved back up for. And then they rescinded the offer as soon as I moved up here. Again.
No.
And that day that I got that news, I was like, maybe this is my sign. Maybe I need to get out of accounting. I walked over to Starbucks and I was like, are you guys hiring?
No way.
This would be fun, working with people. But I worked in food service as a teenager, in high school, and I know that that wouldn't last long for me either.
Yeah, that's what I did all throughout college. I worked in restaurants, and it's fun for like the first 3 months, and then reality sets in, and that's why we want to be accountants.
It's a different grind, and I have so much respect for people who are in hospitality and restaurant business and who are still pleasant.
Yeah, it's no small feat.
Yeah, exactly. So I did a little bit of consulting with the Bay Area company for a few months, and then I got this director of SEC reporting and technical accounting role.
And that was a year and a half ago now?
It was about a year ago.
Awesome.
So this 10Q we filed yesterday was my 5th SEC filing.
Any comment letters?
I have not dealt with any yet.
Good job.
Well, thank you.
They
take time to come in, so don't congratulate me too soon.
Yeah.
But the company has had a couple in the past. I think when they became public, they had a couple rounds of a few comments here or there, and they got through them. And I've read comment letters that for other companies, and we have a couple unique situations that are new, some credits that are available to our company because we're environmental, and there's very few companies that report their credit accounting publicly. So we're a little bit wondering if we can pave the way with the accounting that we want to do on those things. We have to be very careful, and I'm hoping not to get a comment letter.
Yeah. Let's go a little bit deeper on that. So across industries, everyone is different. What do you use as far as a tool to go figure out how to write these disclosures for a new area of disclosure that's specific to your industry? If you're gonna pave the way, you're gonna look to guidance, I would assume.
Or ChatGPT.
Or ChatGPT.
No, I'm just kidding. That was a dumb joke because I have asked ChatGPT and compared it to my findings on the actual tool that we use, which is IntelliGize. And it's wild. This is why I know our jobs are secure for a little bit longer, because AI is just not there yet with getting accurate results or thorough responses.
ChatGPT, no. Finrep, it's getting there. I'll have to show you after the call.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got
Finrep might take your job. No, I'm just kidding. But it can definitely help you do your job even better.
It can shortcut a few things that would take longer. Like if I'm looking for that one particular guidance and my eyes are tired and I keep glazing over, I'll ask ChatGPT, what is the exact one? Sometimes it's still wrong in the exact reference, but gets me a little closer, saves me a few minutes sometimes.
Do you find yourself looking to the authoritative guidance from FASB or the guidance from Big Four, the handbooks, more often?
I like to look at both every time. Because you have to know the FASB guidance first, and so I like to read that first. What's the foundation for the guidebooks? But then the guidebooks just give so much more color,
interpretation,
and examples. Yeah, and they'll say typically we see, or usually, or something along those lines, or even they'll give statements or their updates after the One Big Beautiful Bill was passed this summer. Some of these credits were discussed in some of these updates that the firms publish. So I'll read those and they'll say, we don't like to see this, but this is typically what we're going to see. And that kind of conversational language is helpful for me, and it helps prepare us for our conversations with the auditors.
So specifically, can you give me an example of something in the past 5 Qs you filed where you've had to implement a new disclosure? Maybe an example of looking to peers to see how it's been disclosed in the past, and then an example of starting from scratch or kind of paving the way for a new disclosure. What does that process look like for you?
Yeah, it depends on how complicated the activity is. So we did have a new disclosure this Q, and this was something that was caught at the very last second. This is the one that I was telling you about where everything seemed a little bit too good to be true with how well this filing was going. And then I love a new set of eyes coming into things because we love making things better. It will probably not be at an ideal time, which is the challenge, and which is what happened. So the night before filing, we got this question, hey, this agreement, there isn't a paragraph for it in the debt footnote. But then these auditors are very nice and gave us some examples of disclosures. And then I can go into IntelliGize and do another search. And the research team with IntelliGize is very, very helpful. I get people to help me do different searches in different ways. I don't understand Boolean plus signs and all those things. So they gave me examples, audit team gave me an example, and then adrenaline of trying to push that button to file got me through, here's what I think it should be. And then show it to our legal team, show it to the controller, CFO, show it to the audit team. Everyone agrees, add a little blurb to the MD&A, and then we go on. If it were something that required an technical accounting memo and a disclosure, we probably wouldn't have filed yesterday. But that can happen as well.
Have you had to deal with any extensions or amendments?
I have not yet. I know before I joined, one of the 10Ks had an extension because the audit team needed more time. And so we try to meet with the audit team with enough time to catch any of those things or give them our technical accounting memos with enough time. And I think that over time, our team has improved some of our documentation, so it's more easily auditable, too.
How do you navigate that internally? Do you have your own schedule you've built to track the flow of documents from team to team to ensure everything is on time and everything is there? Or is there a different system you've used at different companies to track the flow of documents from all these different teams?
Yeah, I would like to use a tool, but right now it's very much, here's our calendar, here's what we know needs to get done, and then we monitor how that's going and review it as it comes through. So debt is a big one because the company has, they're leveraging debt because they're still in startup mentality. And also there's so many construction in progress assets going on. So that's a lot of monitoring and a lot of looking at capitalized interest.
You spend your time in cap tables?
CapEx and AP. And yeah, it's very detailed and tedious.
To what extent do you think your company is embracing this new age of technology? There's a startup optimizing almost any facet of accounting at this point. It's just a matter of picking which ones are good and which ones aren't really helping anyone out. To what extent are you guys embracing that and trying out new software versus sticking to what works and what's been around, what's a legacy product?
Yeah, the nature of the work that we've been doing within our lean team is very much in survival mode. And so we'll have meetings, by the way, wouldn't AI be nice for this? But we don't have a lot of time to meet with potential vendors or even do our own internal process improvement rumble, slap it all against the wall, reform it. I think that there's a lot that I've learned, especially at the Raytheon company. They're really big on process improvement. If we had more time to sit together as a team and start with a make it messy process,
Mm-hmm.
and we could do a lot of work on our own, but I'm finding that we can't, and it would be very valuable if we could sit down with a company who can help us with AI tools that would be process improvement, but also new tools to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it could be someone's full-time job to go through different companies and
Yeah.
figure out where the AI can improve, because that's the hardest part about it, is figuring out where it can help you and where it takes more time trying to figure out how to use AI to solve some problem.
Right.
Sometimes it just simply takes less time to do it yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting balance that we have to navigate, and it changes so fast.
Yeah.
From when AI first came out and I was like in undergrad using it to try and do my accounting homework and it just couldn't do it, to now I can like snap a shot of a question and I get the journal entries, they're correct like 95% of the time in a minute.
Wow.
In only, what, 2 years? So it's changing fast across all industries, and
Wow.
accounting is one that we're starting to see the effects. For example, I know that Big Four analyst classes were down this year, 30-something%. I think that'll come back. But we're starting to see employment go down because of AI optimizing these certain roles. So we already spoke about this a little bit, and you said, okay, ChatGPT is not taking my job.
Not yet.
And I think that's because you have 10, 12 years of experience, you're a CPA. For someone coming up in accounting right now, what advice would you give to them to navigate this changing world? AI is never going to take an accountant's job, from the aspect that we have to be ethical. CPA is a huge ethical component.
Right.
But there's still a lot of work that can be done by AI, right? People shouldn't be manually reconciling credit cards in 2025. AI should be doing that. So what do you think? Give me your thoughts on someone starting out a career in accounting now in this age of AI. Obviously, you got to use it, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, AI can also replace artists and actors and movie making and books, but I think that there's still a very human element to accounting and having an accounting team that partners with what the CEO's vision is. And I think that there's still so much that humans should retain in understanding the guidance as a human rather than giving it to a machine. And then knowing the why instead of letting the machines decide the why for you. And I don't know, I'm not in an analyst position anymore, so it's hard for me to step back. If there's someone who wanted to just be at an analyst level for the rest of their life as a rock star analyst, where AI can now take a majority of that work off of them, then maybe there's a way to pivot the career at this point. I don't know. But I know at my level, the way I look at accounting is still so human oriented that a machine could never do that.
Like, how do you do your job better or differently than maybe someone who's purely technical with all these people touch points every day and a filing?
Yeah. Well, for example, if I have to write a technical accounting memo, I can't just be handed a list of bullet points and write a memo. If I could just do that, then AI could definitely take that over. But there's so many conversations to be had with the leadership about where this aspect of the organization is going. What's the intent? What's the long-term intent? Because we might need to use this accounting conclusion for years from now. How do the operations work now, and where is it going? And you have to talk with the operations level people. You can't just rely on what the accounting team understands and turn that into an accounting memo. You have to understand the nature of the business and the people on site working with our vendors and working with constructing our new renewable biogas sites where they're building digesters and working with dairy farmers. You have to understand what's happening with those agreements, how they work, and the psychology of all of that. That feeds into why we're doing what we're doing and what the nature of our business is going to be and what this accounting needs to be today and from now. So those conversations and knowing how to work as a team to meet a deadline and, not, we're still seen as compliance. It's still annoying, but be friendly along the way and be seen as a team member along the way. I don't think AI could ever be seen as a friendly team member as much as it tries to sound like one.
Mm-hmm. You'll never be a human.
It never will be. No. And so I don't know what else to say about all the unknowns of what is going to change about the nature of the work, but we still do need cab drivers and food delivery people, even though Waymo's out there right now on the street taking people without drivers. So I think it's not such a scary change to me. I know that humans will always be needed and will always need each other as much as tools help us. I think there was a big scare when computers first became everywhere. And there's a lot of fear and superstition and paranoia, but I don't think it ever takes away from the fact that organizations are run by humans, good ones at least.
Yeah, right. So I like how much you talk about teamwork when it comes down to a filing. Talk me through your tips to when it's really bad, when it's coming down to a deadline and everyone's stressed. How do you make sure to keep the communication open and honest and clear and make sure the team is still functioning as a team? Because I think that is so important.
Yeah, I think a lot can break down when people are very stressed and maybe the deadlines are a little too tight when, mistakes come up. That happens to us every quarter because of the nature of when our invoices come in and then when I try to get my draft to the controller for review. There's so much to review. So many of those analytics numbers can change and feed into the draft. It's just very tight at that point. But the tool that I use to organize our closed calendar now is Planner in Teams. We used to use just an Excel file and every row was a new deadline for a different team, and that worked, but it was just like when you're in that stressed out mode, you can't digest that as easily. So Planner is a tool where I can put it in little boxes and milestone columns and put team members, and then it sends automatic reminders.
Nice.
Which is nice. And then I can roll forward the plan every quarter. So we'll meet once a week as a larger accounting team, and we'll go over the plan. This is the deadline this team president is trying to get to, wanting all our recons and blackline done by this day. And these are all the little bubbles we have to check off along the way. And it gets very stressful, and I think because we have people in off-site locations not working in the same office as me, I can come off as looking like this taskmaster, out of touch, sitting in this nice corporate office when they're, working on the ground with dairy digest or with dairy farmers and doing their accounting in that mode. And so I try to keep it friendly with conversations outside of that mode too. These are very likable people, and I don't want it to be a cut and dry, give me this, I give you this, we're done, so we have conversations, we talk about our kids, we talk about lifestyle. Some of these people they buy their kids livestock and their kids are raising livestock, so that's really interesting. And that gives me a level of interest in another way the world works. I've never raised livestock and I would never buy a pig for my daughters, but we have touch points like that. And then when the deadlines are really tight, the way I maintain my mentality, my humanity, is to just to give people an example of, this is a mistake that I made, this is my learning point, and this is what I am doing to improve this process next time. So let me know what you're struggling with and we can work on it together, or you can give us your update. So it's never this, because you made this mistake, my life is harder now, which sometimes it can feel that way in those tight deadlines. But that's not how I'm going to lead a meeting when we're checking in on progress. So I try to build that level of safety and humanness in the team. And then in between quarters too, remind them, we're doing our best to improve these processes with the time that we have in between quarters. And so being as consistent as I can with that type of communication. So we have the weekly meetings with the larger team, and then the controller that I report to holds meetings with me and all of the managers together as well. And we just keep up the progress. And if there's a hard point, then we take the time and deal with it as a team. We never want anyone to feel stranded and in handling a problem on their own. So if I could go back and listen to advice that I had been given from a younger age, I think I would have benefited from the people who told me to slow down or do less at the time, just with the personality that I had at that time with that level of ambition. It's great to take on side projects and do a newsletter on top of audit and CPA or whatever, but I think I would have more benefited from taking extra time to focus better on one task at a time, and then do some kind of meditation in between tasks, and that idea of mindfulness. I think it would have given me a better sense of accuracy in the work that I was doing, and I would have retained a little bit more of the technical knowledge from the tasks and the memos that I was writing if I did that one thing at a time, did some kind of meditation. And that's what I'm trying to embody now, and I'm really benefiting from it a lot.
So splitting your tasks and being fully devoted to what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And not being distracted by what you're going to do next or what you just did before.
Yeah. And then in between being on the phone or, taking brain breaks on social media, which feels like taking a little break from work, disengaging so that you can cope with the dryness of the job at hand. But instead, just taking some time to be in your body, go for a walk, be in the quiet, and do literally one thing at a time instead of barraging yourself with more other kinds of engagement. Taking that time to slow down, taking a little bit more of a Mr. Rogers talk slowly instead of like the fast cartoon, again, bring it back to a kid analogy. But I think there's a lot to be said even for adults now in the age of TikTok and the faster engagement and things like that.
No, it's like ruining our brains for sure.
Even at this level, I always imagined when I was younger that when I'm in this age and at this level in my career, I wouldn't struggle with what feels like a childish thing like that. But even, I see my own parents struggle with that, with everything that's available to them on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And even for me now, task switching and context switching, work to home or task to task, or getting calls and Teams messages in the middle of a big task that I'm trying to do. Those interruptions are going to be inevitable. But as much as we can control, taking time to be in your body, do a kind of meditation, come into a space, welcome yourself into the space and sit in it quietly. It makes a really big difference for being present, staying who you want to be, even in the harder moments.
I like that. It's really good advice. How do you manage exactly what you're just talking about? You're trying to sit down and work on some task that requires you to think deeply and really focus and be accurate, and because you're a manager, you're getting these pings from all the analysts and all these other people needing your information. How do you manage your time to make sure that you're getting that hard work done, but you're also there for your team and able to guide them and help them out?
Yeah, it is hard because I also very deeply value sleep. And I don't want to be up late into the night doing those things. And so it is always a game of how do I make sure each of these important things is getting done. If something is inevitably going to slip, let it not be the most important thing, And so what I like to prioritize is my team, because I know that the team members that I work with can more easily slip into this state of overwhelm, and there's something I can do about that. as long as my team is level, then I can leverage their strengths, and then, it saves more time in the long run to handle those little things with a team as quickly as possible, and then fit my work around that.
Mm-hmm.
And inevitably for me, when I'm writing a technical analysis memo, it takes me a long time because I want to do it well and write like a human. And now I have this challenge of not sounding like AI when I'm writing. And that's something that's
But that's so
important to
powerful
me.
right now. I think people can really easily identify at this point when someone's writing and expressing ideas like clearly, and when it's AI slop, which is kind of all you see on LinkedIn these days. It's just like AI slop after AI slop.
Yeah.
So when someone can really write in an efficient manner, it's powerful.
Right. Yeah, it's AI doesn't know how to be compelling yet. They can make an argument, but especially with accounting, when there's so much gray area and there's so much nuance, even though it seems like there should be a black and white answer for everything in accounting. It's just numbers. There never is. It's always it depends. And then what does it depend on? And how do you handle all those nuances after nuances? The nuance tree.
The nuance tree.
And so inevitably I'll end up writing late at night or early in the morning. And once I find that quiet space where I know no one is even going to try to interrupt, that's when I do my best writing. And then the other stuff, the Excel balancing and making, pulling reports and those things, that's a little bit easier for me to do around my team's needs. But the writing is the more challenging thing that I'll end up taking into the later night or early morning, depending on my sleep schedule.
Take care of those after hours, essentially, when you don't have anyone coming after you for information.
Exactly. Yeah, we've had to rewrite a lot of SOX narratives this year, and that's always a challenge. So I try to, in those bigger challenging things that I just feel like I really don't want to do this, I'll leverage a team. I'll do it with someone.
Accountability partner.
Yeah. So when the India team needed to write their SOX narratives and we were just not able to do it when those like small windows of time and my evening or their evening.
It's really hard working with the time difference like that.
It is very hard. And it was easier just to get on a plane and go over there and bust it out in a week. But then I had to deal with a little bit of burnout and jet lag for a while after that. So then you have to just make time to recover too. Building and recovery time is really important.
Nice. Let's close it out. We're running out of time here. Thanks for joining me. Really productive conversation. I think you're a super interesting person, and
Thanks for letting me talk about being a mom and stuff so much in accounting. I feel like
everyone has their own perspective, and in an industry that, like we both know, is quite dry sometimes. It's all about the people you work with. Yeah, people make the place. So, closing remarks. What would you say to your peers, and what would you say to someone like me starting out a career in accounting?
Yeah, I would say for you starting out, it's if you're anything like I was, it's easy to look at what's next or look for the next thing or look for that ambitious opportunity, and to be present and take in everything that you have now and use it as a tool and a foundation, because it will be usable. You might not know or see it now, but it will be usable and it will be helpful at some point in your future. And what I would say to my peers is help me with the tools. What are the things that we can do to not get overrun by AI, but take away the tedious stuff? Yes, please.